Here we are.
There it is.
It is amazing how fast a week goes by, isn't it?
Man, I'm telling you, I'm just glad. I was just sitting here thinking while that silly little intro was playing, how nice it is to not have a glitchy computer or glitchy internet connection.
So, all right. So, since you brought that up, like as people are aware, I hate all things technology, right? Because it doesn't actually make my life easier. But I have to say, like, I got to give a shout out. It does appear, even though I can't quite get the shadow and the light on my camera to fix up exactly, it does appear that my new gigabyte Spectrum internet speed does seem to be working. It
Yeah,
does seem to be noticeably faster and better quality than my previous 600 megabyte slash 500 megabyte connection was before. So I do have to give a little shout out to Spectrum. So maybe Skynet won't screw with me this week like it usually does
they'll
on
just
any
start with you
other week.
faster. That's all. That's what's going to happen.
So it's all good. So happy Friday fun day. How are you doing? How are you doing this lovely day, Mr. Kaufman?
I'm excellent. Um, I don't know. I don't have a whole lot to complain about. So the audience is going to love that. And I finally got my stitches out today, and feeling a whole lot better. Although I still haven't quite got my voice completely back yet, but um, I can deal with that. Doesn't doesn't really affect my brain all that much. I mean, that's probably not saying a whole lot, but uh, you know, I can still think.
it's uh it's all good. So one of the things that I've been having a lot of trouble with lately is focusing and managing all the different things we are doing. So tell everybody today, what is our topic for today's creative real estate investing mastery podcast? See, there you go. See, I got it out again. See, I'm like I'm on a roll with the name of our own podcast, so it's all good.
Yeah, yeah, I'm in the little bit of the same boat. I kind of thrive in that environment. I don't know what it is. I'm one of those people that you know. In fact, my wife would tell you that I tend to wait until something has to be done. I've always been like that, but that is when things get done. That's when I really hop to it. I'm not real big on necessarily preparing, and so how I generally manage that is I build systems. I build little systems. In the software world, a software developer would tell you that they build software so they can be lazy. It's kind of the same thing with systems. So I tend to build out little processes if I can, and if I can have software help me do that, then it's just something that I don't have to think about. I can get off of my plate and let it kind of run in the background. That's actually the whole idea behind uh, when I got into real estate. I was running Google Ads. That was the whole point behind that. Was it was kind of a hands off thing. So that's what we're going to talk about today. We're going to talk about maybe not necessarily software, but we're going to talk about managing a little bit of the chaos. And in fact, I know for a fact that folks getting into getting into real estate investing, or especially like if you're doing some wholesaling, if you're primarily focusing on wholesaling, you want to talk about chaos. That is just the because it's like a wheel. It just keeps you get one thing done, and then next thing you know that the wheels on the wall, right? It's like plaster on the wall, and it's just at that tipping point, and you get that done, and the wheel just starts spinning again, and it can be a lot for one person to be able to manage. So we're going to talk a little bit about possibly some techniques and strategies that folks might implement in their lives and in their business. Which also, by the way, if you are in real estate, you this whole idea of having separate calendars for your personal and for your business, I think is nonsense. Total baloney. It is one thing. This business, if you get into it, you find that you love it enough, it will become you, and you'll just be, you'll be on vacation thinking about business. It's just inevitable. It just happens to everyone. So
Or you'll make vacation a business.
yeah, there you
E-
go.
either way. But I will have to say, can we say that that's like pro tip number one. And I have to say, I was one of those people that had separate calendars. That I didn't like to mix my, like, especially when I was still working for the man in human resources. Like, that was my work calendar, and like all this other stuff was over here, and then I had to constantly look between them. But then I linked. I think because you kept yelling at me, I linked all my different calendars and the Google calendars all together. That was like one of the best things I've ever done,
Oh yeah,
even though I hate all that. But everything is there, and I can just put it in over here, and it appears over there, like on the one calendar that I look at, which is the Sub2Empire calendar. The one calendar that I look at, and that has really been. I mean, I've been doing that for I don't know what, several years now, I guess. But that was really I mean, it seems like such a small thing, right? But that's a very logistical item that made a big difference for
yeah,
me. So
yeah. One source of truth. Then I
yes,
recently connected. I've got three different Google Workspace accounts, all of them with multiple email addresses, and I've probably got what, over 20 different email addresses, and
yeah, yeah,
I just had enough of it. So, and this was this year. I think it was maybe it was my New Year's present to myself was just to finally get that organized. I just sat down for about 2 hours one day and just went through. I actually Googled some suggestions, or I think it was Gemini that I used. Just, just looked up some of these suggestions and how this could best work, so that I would just literally have one source of truth for everything. And so far, I've got one. I mean, I've got one calendar now. I've got one email address where everything that I need to see funnels into. I've excluded the things that aren't pertinent. So, yeah, it works out really, really great.
yeah.
But let's do. Excuse me, you guys are gonna have to bear with me here. I've still got a little bit of.
A little froggy.
Yeah, I've got that had that. I know it's been a while, but ever since I had that breathing tube from this surgery, it's been it's kind of like that. I don't have like the stamina. Like I wake up in the morning and I'm fine. By the afternoon, I'm just struggling to talk a little bit. But so
You're going to take a step back and just say that, like, I was a proponent of doing this topic for the podcast today. Well, we were picking between a couple of different ones too, because I am, like, just to be fully disclosed, I've been investing in real estate for 25 years now. This is the 25th year since I got like my first investment property, I guess you would say, right? And I struggle with this off and on because I don't, like, neither one of us, we don't have 3 employees or 5 employees or whatever doing the marketing and doing all this stuff. Like, we kind of run this stuff ourselves. And I mean, there's a lot of reasons for that. Sometimes we have virtual assistants and stuff, but at the present time we do not. And we manage a lot of different things, just like in the businesses we run. Like, we just launched our fund last year that we're still getting up and running, right? That's been a process. That, talk about a learning curve. I've learned a lot about funds and how to do that, which has been great. But that's one. We have Sub2Empire, right? We have our own real estate business. So Sub2Empire is like the coaching education business we run with our, but we also do deals with our students, which is one of the whole point of our partner program. And so we're actually out there with our students. We're doing flips, and we're doing rental properties, and we're lending money. We're doing all this stuff. It's a lot to manage,
mhm.
right? Because each one of those can be its own time consuming business. So I struggle with this, and I've been struggling with it lately. And then sometimes, like, life happens, right? And you got to go out to other states and take care of various matters and all of that. Uh, In-laws passed away, and all of that stuff that needs to be done. That's just life. like it kind of like sneaks up on you. And as anyone knows, like anybody that actually knows me personally, like I am, again, I'm detail oriented, anal retentive, some might call, as it relates to like I like to be organized and I like to see it on the sheets, like on the spreadsheets, and like where are we going, like what's all of that. And so I get very stressed when I don't have that in there. And so it's a, and then of course throw in all the tax time. So this is tax time, right? And by the way, if you haven't filed your extension, April 15th is coming up. Like my extensions have been filed, which actually decreases your chance of an audit. Just pro tip out there too. You would think that's an oxymoron. You would think it actually would increase your chances of audit, but it does not. It actually decreases your chance of being audited. So anyway, so all that stuff, and when you have nine. My accountant filed nine extensions, nine different operating LLCs. And I was like, I didn't even realize it was almost double digits. So that's a lot of shit that's going on at once. So I like to get back to basics. Like I know what to do. I'm struggling with it a little right now, but I thought it would be great to do this podcast just to kind of go through, okay, in my own mind, let's just take a step back. Let's reset what needs to be done and what the tips are and get myself focused on. So I appreciate you letting me kind of myself reset. It's like my own mental reset today on today's podcast. So I appreciate that.
Yeah, that's. I mean, that's probably the most cathartic thing you could do is talk about it, honestly. But yeah, I mean, we chatted just a little bit before we jumped on here, and I was like, you were telling me you have, I don't know how many different post-it notes right now stuck all over your desk and in your computer and everything.
Yes.
I actually just threw a bunch away, and I've whittled everything down to this one notebook right here. So and and then you said, yeah, I've got 7 different notebooks or some shit like that.
Yeah. Yes. One for each, for like different LLCs. Like I've got one for the fund and one for Sub2Empire related stuff, and then one for I have like a health and wellness business thing over here. So I have one for that, and I still do HR consulting, and so I've got like one for that we just finished up a big project on actually. And so it's like all this stuff. And so then I'm thinking, because I'm an old school guy, because I know you like to do the app stuff and put it into an app or whatever to help manage that. Like we've done that before. Like I don't do so well with that, as you might know. What was that app too, where you can structure and like you can put down, I don't remember what was it. Wasn't Trello. Maybe it was Trello or whatever too. And that's good. Like I would like that for a particular project. Like if I was doing a flip or something like here, and we could do like the chain of events or like who's doing what on the flip, like visually, that's helpful. But I'm kind of an old school guy. That's why I use the pads. I like, okay, here's my notes on that. And I actually get a highlighter and I check the stuff off, like the to-do list. And I know, like a lot of gurus say, don't have a to-do list, have a not to-do list. Right. So I've fallen out of that. I used to do it like that, like reverse that mindset. I used to do it like that. And then because it's just easier. It's like, okay, I've got to get these items have to be done for business purposes or whatever, or to make money. Like, okay, we got to do this because I got to list the property because that's how we're going to sell it and make money. Right. And so it's just like some stuff has to be done. So you kind of fall out of the good habits in there. So I like that. That's why I have so many notebooks. But I promise you, especially after today, this is going to be front of mind to me. I'm going to focus on getting all this organized. And you should see my desk. Like you've been here to my office, my home office. Like you would not recognize the state that it's in now because it's tax time. So I have the different businesses set out on the desk. You know what I mean? With the pile of stuff that I have to reconcile through for the accountant. That's another conversation I'm going to have with the accountant, by the way. What can you easily pass off to somebody else that needs to free up? Because I can't manage the LLCs, like all the details moving in and out anymore. So that's one of the other things too, is I'm going to have a talk with our accountant about managing I guess we'll just call it the bookkeeping, right? Whatever. And sometimes that's more trouble than it's worth too, because like you have to explain to them what the transaction is, where does it get logged? Because if you give them the bank statements or whatever, they don't know, like they can't see detail on the bank statement. So is it really saving you time? They don't know. But those are things that I will be investigating again.
Well, you hit on a really key thing there, and you probably didn't realize it, but the kind of the underlying message that I think that could be pulled out of what you just said is that you only we only utilize the things, or we only use the things that we will actually use. Meaning, you use a notebook, you use several notebooks. That's 1,000% okay. Like that's what gets it done. Because you know me, I'm the king of software. Like I own, probably, honest to God, I probably own 250 different pieces of software.
Oh yeah, yeah, not an exaggeration. Like he's not exaggerating. I'd say that's probably true. Yeah.
And I probably use 6 or 7 of them. And by the way, with this AI stuff, the kind of the stuff that I'm building right now, I probably won't use any of that stuff in the future, because it's I can with a lot of the AI coding, the vibe coding stuff. A lot of this stuff I'm building for me personally. I have no intentions of of putting it out there or anything like that. But it's just for personal organization. It's systemization. So, um, but the key point here is, only buy if you're going to use software for systemization. I would definitely go through the trials first, because yeah, I mean, I've spent a lot of money on this software, and I'm really nowhere with a lot of it. Like, a lot of it's just sitting out there, just kind of in, in nowhere land. And I think software today for managing systems is necessary, but also there's a lot of impulsivity that comes with software. Like, you see something, I'm definitely guilty of this, but I see something that looks like it'll work for me, and I just immediately go all in on it. Next thing I know, I've got I've got no use out of it whatsoever, and I've got a bunch of data sitting out there. Now I've got to go grab that data, pull it in, and bring it into something useful. So, um, anyway, I'm kind of rambling a little bit, but
No, no, no. I think that's a good point, which is another like organization too. You're talking specifically about real estate investors. Like you have to have leads, right? We talk about the marketing and the leads and all that stuff too. And again, like if we're being honest, neither one of us does a lot of direct marketing anymore, because we do deals with our students. We have word of mouth. We have all this other stuff that we don't really. We kind of pick and choose the things that we do now, which is a great position to be in, by the way.
hmm.
But we're kind of to that point now. But when you are starting out, like if you want to wholesale, you have to have a system, a marketing system. In other words, you have to systematize your leads, and not only your leads coming in, but your follow up to the leads. If you're not following up with your leads, you're losing out. Like if you don't respond to that lead coming in within 24 hours, they're off to the next person. Because if they're a hot enough lead, warm lead, whatever you want to call it, I say I'm hot. If they pick up your postcard and call you, which is 1 out of 100, by the way, roughly speaking, and call you, that's a hot lead that you need to get after right away, right? And 5 days later, long gone, brother, long gone. So you need to have, we call them CRMs, right? You need to have a system to do that, to manage that, so that the follow up can be immediate. And AI, talking about your AI, I'm just going to call all AI Skynet, right? So Skynet is the head of the snake, right? And then the octopus, I guess. And then all these different AIs are just different forms of the same nonsense, right? Like Chat GPT and Gemini and whatever the hell else, right? Claude. Like, why? Where does Claude? Whatever.
Claude's amazing. Claude is absolutely amazing.
Right. Well, and that should scare you, by the way, right? That should actually scare everybody on a lot of levels. But if since Skynet is here, right? You can actually use Skynet's capabilities to do good, like you said, personally organize yourself,
Yeah.
business organize yourself to the extent possible, right? You can have all these CRMs now are integrating some form of AI in it that can follow up with people on your behalf, like automated follow up, and don't have it be some stupid ass generic one. Try to, you have to teach the AI. That's the other thing. You got to teach the AI. And if you are, here's the other thing I've seen too, just real quick before this goes out of my head. You can buy real estate. So you mentioned you have to train the AI for you, right?
Mm-hmm.
Well, that's true for your list. Like for Sub2Empire, you've trained an AI to know what we're doing. We're creative finance experts, all this stuff. And so when we ask for things or topics or podcast topics or whatever the case may be, it keeps us in that niche, right? Because it knows what Sub2Empire is about. So you need to train your AI for you specifically in your business. You can purchase real estate AIs like that have been trained. Like you can get like it's a subscription. Like people are monetizing all this. Like Claude for real estate professionals. But you still have to, which is great because it has some of the generic real estate stuff in there, but you still have to teach it for you. What do you want it to do for your business? What are you trying to do? Right? Lead follow up is a pretty easy thing to do, but what are you trying to do? What's your buy box? What are you trying? You have to put those specifics in there for your business. So you still have to spend some time on that. But AI can generate, like it can practically replace an actual virtual assistant, right? Which is a real person just remotely working for you, right? It can replace a lot of that for real estate items. And I'm not, this is coming from me, the guy that the guy that thinks the only person to watch the Terminator movies from the mid 80s, apparently, as it relates to Skynet and what's coming,
Yeah.
right? So, but since it's here, you might as well use it for good while you have the chance, right?
Yeah.
So that's
I think the
my two cents.
first thing, if anybody, I mean, we're getting off on an AI rant, but I think the first thing that if you're going to use AI for anything, I think the very first thing that you need to tackle is your own personal organization.
Yes,
Put that
yes,
out there.
100%.
Because if you don't have that down, um, you're just what you're doing is you're building you if you don't have that systematized and you don't have your daily activities systematized, stacking other crap onto it is only going to multiply your problems. It's going to
More chaos.
insanely chaotic. Yeah.
Yes, more chaos.
But but yeah, I think the key takeaway from this is that I want or the point rather that I want to get across is find if you're going to use. I mean, if your strategy may be to hire a virtual assistant, that's totally fine. Or to use a notepad or post-it notes. Probably wouldn't recommend post-it notes, but notepads
No.
like what you do for different ideas. But if you're going to go down the software road, it has to be something that you are going to pick up and look at every day. And this is why I say you've got to get your personal life in order first. Um, just and I keep using that term personal life, but it's kind of it's your daily activities. You wake up in the morning. If you drink coffee, you have some coffee. You check your. This is my routine, by the way. I check my emails or try to first thing in the morning. I have what I have is I have AI send me a daily synopsis of things that are on my plate for that day, and then that just sets the tone for being able to triage what the most important actions are. What is number one? What's 1 through 5? What's my top 5 for the day? And then if the other ones don't get done, then they just don't get done. They get carried over to the next list. And you mentioned to-do lists earlier. I don't care what anyone says. A to-do list when you can check it off. I'm one of those people though. I have the problem I have with to-do lists is I can create the to-do list, but I get very into when I get into completing something, I'm a perfectionist. And so, well, I may not be detail oriented on the surface. I am a perfectionist. There's a much bigger difference than that. So if I give myself a task or someone gives me a task to do, I want to make sure I don't ever want to have to go back and revisit that task. And so I am in it like, as they call it, a flow state. I am just in it, and everything else around me, all the sounds, all the sights, it all just disappears, and I'm in it. And but I will say, having you can look at a task list as a plan for the day. That's all that it is. It's just like if you're rehabbing a house and you've got a list of supplies you got to go get. You wouldn't dare try to remember that in your head. You wouldn't do
Yeah,
that.
that's true. No, you're true. Yeah, you're true. There are you have to have some things written down because you can't possibly remember everything, especially on the rehab list. Yes,
Yeah.
that's a perfect example. Yes, you're
Who
correct.
would want to do that? I mean, you can't get anything done if you're relying on your memory. I mean, that's you know every once you're full, as they say, once your memory's full, and you try to put something in, something else is going to exit the other side. It's just the way that it this is the way that it works. Unless you're my wife, she can remember everything, and she lets me know.
I'm sure. Yeah, can I just say one other thing about we've been talking about AI to automate your things, right? To organize and start with your organizing your personal thing. I think that's key too, and then you can layer on assisting with your business organization as well. I mentioned the specific example of AI, like the AI that's in your CRM, right? We recommend our AI Black Book, especially if you want to scale up your automation and all that stuff too. But we do not let and do not think for a second AI is your solution. You need to personally go see the sellers. You still need to personally contact the sellers. Like AI is not going to remember the seller's dog's name that you will when you're personally talking to them. It's about building rapport. AI cannot build rapport with your seller.
Yeah, maybe
That's
one,
your job.
but it's not there. It's not there.
Yes, that's your job. You need to get nose to nose with the seller. This is $100,000, a $200,000, a $300,000 transaction. Nose to nose, eye to eye.
Yeah,
Don't forget that.
yeah.
Okay.
And you brought up follow up a little bit earlier. Um, I will say that automation can help with follow up a little bit if you're just doing simple little maybe SMS texts or
Yeah.
messages. Like,
Immediate, especially immediate follow up. Right.
yeah, it's a
Yep.
wonderful thing for immediate follow up. You get done with a meeting, you press a button, and it you know sends out some messages. But the follow up piece, I there's different trains of thoughts on it, and we have someone in our program that, I mean, the girl is just a she just her, she doesn't even really she uses a CRM to store data, but she doesn't use it for any. In fact, I think she's still on a free account of like Podio or something.
Yes, you're correct. You're correct. Yep.
And I think the most use she gets out of Podio is it maybe might send her a reminder. I don't think it even does that, but it's a tool that she uses every day, and she knows she's going to look at it every single day. And so a free account for her works just fine because she's the type of person that's going to pick up the phone and call. You know, I'm not necessarily built that way because I don't. First of all, I don't much like talking on the phone. But secondly, um, I don't know. I've said this before on this podcast, but I'm the type of person that I don't know what it is about me, but I tend to try and figure out all scenarios of how this phone call could go, and then I will sit and I will pace the floors back and forth, um, until I wear a hole in the floors, and then finally make that phone call. And then that phone call ends up not being anything about. I mean, it had
Nothing like it. Yep.
nothing like what I thought it was, how it was going to go. So So it is something I have to force myself to do, and something that I found that works for me is if I set a quota. If I set myself a quota for, much like the to-do list, if I set myself a quota for what I need to, how many calls I need to make, or um, it doesn't even matter what the call is about. It could be to someone personal, but if I set myself a quota, I know, and I can hit that quota. That's just a little bit better feeling for me, and um, it's I'll be more likely to do it if it's in or on something that I can see. If I have to try and remember it, I'm probably going to put it off for a while. It's just the way that it goes. But anyway, let's move on here. What is a
Yeah.
what?
Well, let's talk a little bit more about some strategy about how to like some logistical things we do. One of the things too that I think you and I both kind of do and swear by is like I call them jam sessions, right? Shout out to Darren Hardy and all that the jam sessions, 90-minute blocks of time, and I do this on my calendar when I put and I try to put usually in the morning, I block out the time, like you mentioned, you have AI, your personal AI sends you your blocks of time and all that stuff too. I usually block it out and I do 90-minute sessions in there. Because if you're working on something for more than 90 minutes, your attention to detail falls way off after the 90-minute mark. It's better to get up, do something else, go do some other
Go for it.
topic for the next 90 minutes and then come back to it for another jam session, whatever. But I swear by those that does has definitely made me more productive checking off the list, right? And the things to do by trying to do that 90-minute blocks of time, even if it's going to like I'm going to make you just said I'm going to do seller lead calls. I'm doing it for 90 minutes. Like you should easily be able to do whatever. We'll just say five. You want to do five a day. You should easily be able to do five in 90 minutes
Yeah.
to do that. So just just that, like again, that's really a very detailed logistical thing that a lot of people say, okay, well, I've heard that before, but are you doing it?
Yeah.
Right? Because it does make a big difference and you have to stick to it. And this kind of goes with your personality type. Like not everybody can like personality is conducive to doing that. Like you were shocked. You were just mentioning, you like to think through how that seller phone call is going to go or that the seller appointment's going to go. Like I used to do that, but I don't even worry about it. This might surprise you. Like I don't even worry about it anymore. After you reach a certain level of experience, like it doesn't matter what the question is. It doesn't matter what the objection is. Like I'll be able to answer it for this particular thing. Like I don't even worry about it anymore because it's never, like you mentioned, it's never going to go the way you think it's going to go. So why even worry about it? What I do instead is I just have bullet points of items I want to make sure are covered in that meeting, whether it's the seller meeting. Like I'm going to make sure I mention creative financing. I'm going to make sure whatever it is, like I just have those little bullet points and then whatever else happens
Yeah.
right during the meeting. I started doing that actually back when I still worked in human resources because I, you know, employees do stupid shit sometimes, and so there's employee discipline meetings. And I used to think I used to like say, okay, I've got to really structure this meeting so that I have to control the meeting, which is true, but you can't script every word that's said.
Right.
And so that's when I started saying I just have to make sure we stick to these bullet points in there,
Yeah.
right? And that's when I started doing that, and that seems to be a lot more successful for me. Again, it's kind of a personality thing,
Yeah.
but you wouldn't think the obsessive compulsive personality would want to script everything and think. And I used to, but see, I've been letting that stuff go. Like you just can't do it. So I can't worry about stuff I can't control, right?
Yeah. It's very true. I mean, the pacing the floors anymore is kind of a thing of a past for me now. I don't. I. It's more of. I hate to say this, but it's more of what kind of BS am I going to have to put up on this phone call now, type of thing, and you just roll with it. But yeah, it's I think it's what it's just it's getting your 10,000 hours in. It's getting your it's just getting your repetitions in, and then it just becomes a thing. Just like we've talked about, when I start talking to sellers about subject to, and I mean that can be for. I mean, I think it's. I don't know this for a fact, but I think it's probably true for most people that a lot of folks just don't know how to approach that subject. Because it's such a big ask to ask someone to hold their loan for you. It's a big ask. I mean, it's probably one of the bigger asks in real estate that we deal with. And so it can be nerve wracking. It can be like just repeating over and over in your head, like, how am I going to do this? What's my approach to doing this? And if you could just relax a little bit, and it does take time, it does take repetition, but eventually you get to that point where you're just comfortable in your own head, and once you've learned enough about it, and once you have kind of repeated and really done, the doing is the big part. But once you've done it over and over again, a couple hundred times, 200-300 times, it just becomes kind of part of your language, kind of part of your vernacular, and yeah, it becomes very comfortable.
Yep. Yeah. Well, at least you get to the point where you don't obsess about it, like about the details. So, okay, I have to make sure the conversation goes. No, in fact, you're much better off if you, especially the first time you're ever meeting a seller, is to let the seller ask questions. You listen, right? Let the seller talk, because if you try to control everything and talk, or that's not going to build the rapport. Like we talk about that a lot. So that's one of those things that gets overlooked because you're trying to control everything so much. Like that was a hard lesson for me to learn about letting go that guy, like all of that too.
Yeah,
but now I don't even sweat it. Like I'll walk into any place. Like I'll even go door knock if I need to anymore. Like my wife is amazed sometimes. Door knocking is not so much a thing anymore as it used to be, especially with the
people still door knocking.
With the ring, people still do, but it's not much as a thing. Like when we first started, the gurus, when we went to the all the training and the restaurants, get out there and door knock. Like you can see that this house needs help. Maybe they're just go out there and door knock and ask them and say, hey, are you interested in selling your property? It's like my wife was amazed when I just said, well, we're just gonna go do that. Like that's not me. Like I would have never done that. Like before, I was just like, yep, let's get out of the car and we're just gonna go knock on the door. So, yep.
Yeah, on the time blocking thing, which is a really, really valuable tool. But it's probably, I mean, if anyone listening to this has never really truly time block, I recommend putting it out on paper first, because it's going to be right there available and in front of you. I built a spreadsheet for mine and just made different little colors and everything. And sometimes the time block would I would overextend myself, especially if I was super super into something. But and I've been admittedly really really bad about it lately. Really bad about it. I mean, I will. I'll get into doing something, and I'll be in it for 4 hours. Next thing I know, I haven't eaten, I haven't drank anything, you know. But it is a really really good tool. You just have to be just like the software. You have to be willing to. It's got to be something that you're going to see, or something that you're going to use every single day.
Yep.
So, all right.
Next item is probably the last one we'll end up, right, is it's okay to set boundaries. And this is with the organization. One of the things that I used to do a lot, especially when working for the man, is like, when an email comes through or a text message comes through, it could literally be an emergency. Like it could literally be, especially like when I was dealing with human resources, like it could mean like, I've got to stop what I'm doing and go and address this. So I would constantly have to be distracted by that stuff. You don't have to be distracted by that stuff in your real estate business. You need to take control of that. That's part of the time blocking too. Block a 90 minutes where you're going to return emails. And it's okay to let people know that, by the way. You can put an autoresponder even in your emails and just say, just so you know, I respond to emails between 4 and 5:30 p.m. or 8 and 9:30 a.m. or whatever it is, and I will respond back in the order the email was received. Like, it's okay to set those boundaries. And nobody, no seller, not even, like, very rarely do you even, unless it's a 911 thing too. I don't text, call, anything after 8 p.m. Does not happen.
Yeah.
Right. So just those little tips, which are different for everybody. And of course, you want to be responsive, right? You want, but again, watching your email all the time or your Facebook bullshit or all that stuff, the text messages, all that is just adding to your chaos. You have to take control of that part of it, right? You have to take control of it.
And it'll feel good. I'm telling you. I did what I would consider, at least in my world, I did I set the ultimate boundary. I used to get phone calls, all day long. I still do, but what I did was I turned off voicemail. I do not have voicemail on my personal cell phone anymore, and that was a boundary that has paid off in droves because you know somebody leaves you a voicemail. Not only do you have to go back and listen to the voicemail, but now they're expecting a call back. Whereas now, and I used to be I used to really be offended by this when people would say, "Text me before you call." And they're like, "Text you? I'm just going to pick up the phone and call you." Well, I get it now. I've learned because when I got rid of voicemail, all of a sudden people started texting me. I had documentation. I could see what they were talking about, and I could respond. And nobody expects you to respond to a text right away. I mean, I guess there's some people that do that probably freak out about that. But so another thing that I did on my handy dandy phone here was I set up a routine. I'm an Android guy. I love Android. So piss off.
And Apple has a similar thing too, by
I
the way.
did set up a routine on my phone where my working hours are from 9 a.m. to 3 p.m. and I don't accept phone calls or anything like that. At 3 p.m., I will return phone calls and and/or text messages. On rare occasions, I do have some favorites set in here for people that I do allow to reach me. But if you combine that, I've just learned that if I combine that with the fact that I don't accept voicemails anymore, it's just like it's freeing. It's like you know it hasn't affected me in any way as far as like missing out on deals or anything like that. But I do get the occasional when I do finally call someone back. I do get the occasional. They'll say, "I tried to leave you a voicemail, but it went to some weird, something weird." I'm like, "That's right. I don't accept voicemails. I don't do it." But yeah. So again, I have taken a a device or something external that helps me control that, and it really works. The setting up the routine has been a really great thing where I set my phone to work mode from 9 a.m. to 3. It's been a real game changer. So other boundaries.
Well, I would just say it's okay. One of the things that I do a lot too, especially when I was doing, we'll just say real estate part time, when I had when I saw the full time job, like I would have to respond back and say, I will, thanks for contacting me. I will respond back to you at 9 a.m. tomorrow, or whatever the case may be, because I got to go do the research. I got to pull this. I got to get contract. Whatever it is, I need some lead time because I'm working a 10-hour day in my regular job, and so I need some lead time in order to do that. And it's totally okay to let the sellers know. Just don't fail to follow up when you say you're going to follow up.
Yeah.
Do not. Let me just say that again. Do not fail to follow up when you say you're going to follow up.
Yeah.
Because if you fail, don't bother.
That's true. Yep. Yeah, and the other thing about boundaries, I know we're talking about kind of, at least I am talking a little bit about like personal boundaries, and so It doesn't just apply to phones, by the way. This applies to literally everyone that you work with. And we had this discussion, I think, a couple weeks ago, where I'm the type of person, if I've I expect to work with great people. That's all. That's it. I don't fool around with I don't fool around with posers. I don't fool around with people that don't say that don't do what they say they're going to do. I just do not deal with those people at all. I'll be friendly with them, um, and the big problem with that is how do you get to know those people? With and so I guess the point is you have to get you got to get a little further down the road with them before you realize that they're a turd, you know.
Yep.
Um, and so my method for setting that boundary is it's a very subtle method. I don't have an outward type of confrontation. Generally speaking, I generally just, you know what, I'm not calling this dude back. I'm just going to go over here and do my own thing, and I just back off of it. I don't get any real gratification out of making somebody else feel terrible, but even if they are a terrible person, but it's just it's an internal boundary that I set where I'm not going to deal with this person anymore, and it kind of just disappears. I've always been like that. So if there's anybody out there that really doesn't like that type of confrontation or just doesn't want to deal with it, that might be something that you can use to pull back and set a boundary and pull back to refocus on what it is you need to do. But
No,
anyway,
that's a good one because first impressions don't you can't pick up on that stuff about whether it's somebody you may want to do business with or somebody that has integrity that doesn't like you can't pick that up on a first impression. Like
some
you haven't
people are
done
really
it.
good at it too. Some people are really good at
Yeah,
yeah,
you have to actually unfortunately that person's going to have to let you down before you finally realize that like we're supposed to be here at this meeting or we're supposed to be on this call and we're not, and like you can't first impressions just don't give you that. So I think that's a perfect thing. You have to remove the people that are not bringing you closer to your goals, personally, professionally, business. You have to remove those people from your environment. That doesn't mean you tell them to kiss off necessarily, like you just said, but you just have to remove them from your circle and what you're trying to do, right?
remove yourself from them.
Yes.
That's a kind of I think the way that I look at it is you don't have to no harm no foul. I've learned my lesson. I'm going this way, and that's
Yeah.
just how I kind of
Same goes for family too.
yeah. Yeah, although that's a little bit
I need
different.
some. Yeah, I need some more counseling sessions on that probably. But
Yeah,
it's
no, it's that is something I mean, my family looked at me like I was completely off my rocker when I got into this, and they had a right to do it because they really didn't know what I was doing. I had no idea what I was getting into, but they understand now to a certain extent, for the most part. But it's like, okay, well, I love them all. I don't ever want anything bad to happen to them. I'll help them as much as I can, but I have got to refocus here. I have got to shift. I've got to pull away from that a little bit, and maybe I'll treat family a little bit differently because I'll still go hang around them. I'll set time aside to go hang around them. That's just family time. It's not going to be and maybe it was that they got sick of me talking about it. I don't know. I don't know because I did do a lot of that. I did do a lot of everything when things come to you that are new and you're excited and you want to tell everybody and you've had these accomplishments you want to tell people. I don't. I just try not to do that anymore with my family, just because you know they don't 9 times out of 10 they don't want to hear it. They don't. It's just me spewing it. But if they ask, I'll be happy to talk to them. But um, I just treat them differently. I just treat them as really close friends. I'm not gonna as they would, as you might say, shun them for not being excited about things that I'm excited about. But yeah, really interesting dynamic, the family.
Yeah, it's interesting. Even the in-laws. I had so just quick story, not to throw anybody under the bus too. So my some of my in-laws live in Colorado Springs, and so they bought a new house. They sold their old house, bought a new house. Typical, real estate agent, all that stuff too. So one of the things that they were trying to do, they have a camper. So they had, when they were building the house, it was a new construction house. So when they were building the house, they had this big pad poured in the back and this big gate put on the back fence so that they could put their trailer back there and park it on this concrete pad. Well, in order to do that, outside the fence is common ground. So in order for them to gain access to drive through there to get to the back of the gate, they need an easement. Didn't bother to get any said easement. So they said, you got to get that shit out of here. You can't be parking that back here and you can't be driving that back here. Out of here. And so one of those things, so my wife was telling me that story and I was like, I just shook my head and she goes, well, why are you shaking your head? I said, well, that's kind of like one of the first questions I would ask if you're trying to do something like that. Like, how do I access that? What property am I driving through to access this? Who owns it? And if I want a right of way to it, then I need to get an easement. Like, that's just, and that's not something you think of necessarily when you're just doing your own residential transaction. But after doing nearly 300 deals over 25 years, like those are the things you think about. Like, that's where my mind goes. Like, what do we say? You say, okay, well, that's one of the first things. And then my wife goes, she goes, well, I don't know why she doesn't ask you this question. She knows you do real estate all the time. It's like, I don't know what to tell you. Like, I didn't even know they were moving. I like, what do you want me? I don't know. Like, yeah, I mean, I would have been glad to help them out. They just said, hey, can you read over this contract? Or like, what are we missing? And it still might have been missed because I don't know that I would have thought to ask them, oh, where are you parking your camper? And do you need an easement for it? Like, it wouldn't become, if I was standing there looking at it, what they were trying to do, like, obviously I would have said, well, how are you going to access that right away?
Yeah. Yep. Yep. That's funny.
Anyway, sorry, long story. My whole point of that story was to say, like, go to people, get people inside your circle that are going to get you to where you want to go. Get all the other people outside of your circle. I'm talking about business, like
Right.
what you want to do. Like, you easily saw which family members you could possibly have in your circle that are going to help you achieve your goals, and you'll know the ones that are not in your circle. Right? Yeah. That was very easy to see. And just like, get those people. I don't know what else to say. So, and this one's been kind of a crazy, all over the place podcast, but we just try to give you some logistical things to do with the organization, because this is an item I need to focus on. So thank you again for bearing with me on that to get reorganized on. So I appreciate that. So hopefully we gave some very logistical, tactical, we'll call them tactical, some very tactical things to do to organize your time back, because chaos breeds chaos. Right? Chaos breeds chaos. So unless you can take control of some of these things, you're just going to get more chaos. And then you're going to be right out of the real estate business.
That's right. That's right. All right. Let's wrap it up. You got anything you want to finish off with?
Nope. You can partner with us. We'll help you. That's it. That's why we're here, brother.
Right on. All right, guys. We will catch you guys. You're off in a while, a few weeks away. So
yeah,
we will see you. Yes. We'll see you next week. See, I had to think about that. It's not written down, man. I'm telling you.
I just put it on the share calendar. I blocked it on the share calendar. You're correct. It was not on there before that. I'm going to Alaska for 2 weeks at the end of May. So it'll be the first Alaska adventure. So I'm looking forward to it.
Awesome. All right, guys. Catch you next week. Take care, and we will